and an expanded food lineup for the third Thursday with Juliet's Empanadas, Truckin' Triangles, Frost Fairy, and Desi's Daughters. WMBS will also be on hand for a live broadcast with the prize wheel and giveaways from 5 to 7 p.m. with Josh Krysak and me, TJ DeStefano. Check out the full schedule at uniontownredevelopment.com/StorySquare. See you there.
This is the story of a 7-year-old boy from Baltimore who nagged his parents incessantly for a pony until they moved to the mountain. There, over 40 years, I learned everything I could about the farmsteading lifestyle from great mentors.
Ooh, what a lucky man he was.
Oh, and by the way, I got my pony. I named him Captain.
On your mystery ship, on your way to a world that others might have missed.
Alrighty, folks, welcome once again to Farmsteaders Field Notes. I'm your host, Shawn from the Mountain. Glad you decided to join me here on WMBS, 590 AM, 101.1 FM, and www.wmbs590.com, and of course on Facebook Live. As always, if you have an agricultural event that is open to the public, please make a comment or get in contact with me, and I will do my very best to promote it. Hey, let's start off by congratulating WMBS. Happy 88th birthday. You don't look a day over 75. Great, great, great work. I've only been here a couple years, but I'm super excited about that. That's wonderful. Congratulations. 88 years. That's wonderful. Also, another announcement before we get into the news. July 29th, during our Fayette County Fair. Of course, Farmsteaders Field Notes will be coming to you live from that fair with my friend Josh Krysak also sitting in the chair, and we'll be talking about all things fair and fabulous at the Fayette County Fair. So be sure to check that out. Also, as a reminder, as I always remind you all the time, if you have within your means to purchase some of these projects from our 4-H folks, be sure to do it. It's a good time. I tell you, in the news, if you heard earlier on the news, prices of proteins, chicken, beef, pork, all 5.9% higher than they were this time last year. So don't wait on your favorite politicians to fix that problem for you. Fill up your freezers with some good quality 4-H raised livestock projects. Okay, and I've read it before exactly what you get from all those projects, but just from the beef project alone, if you were to go in on a steer with your neighbor or a couple of your neighbors go together and you fill up your freezer, you can get 24 roasts, 28 T-bone steaks, 10 sirloin steaks, 10 sirloin tip steaks, 28 ribeye steaks, 8 filet mignon, 12 round steaks, short ribs, a couple flank steaks, stew meat, brisket for barbecue, and probably about 150 pounds worth of ground beef there for your favorite hamburger. So by all means, do it. Also, a reminder from our friends that we've interviewed last year at the Rabbit and Poultry 4-H Club there in Fayette County. The Birds and Bunnies, they're going to be doing their same silent auction, so make sure you stop by their barn and put in a bid for some either a pen of 3 broilers, chickens, or a pen of 3 rabbits. So either way, more meat that way too, and it's obviously going to be cheaper than if you were to go in on a steer. So something to think about, a great way to support our 4-H and our 4-H program. Okay, so starting off with a little bit of news here. Penn State is seeking answers on farmers' health, according to Lancaster Farming. Penn State Extension staff want to dive deeper into the factors influencing physical and mental health in agriculture, so they're going right to the source. Extension launched a survey of farmers and farm workers on July 2nd, seeking input on why agriculture has higher rates of health challenges compared to other sectors. When the survey is finished, Florence Beacott hopes the risk factors become clearer, and most importantly, solutions can be found. Beacott, the leader of Penn State's agriculture safety and health programs and the nationwide insurance early career professor in the development of agriculture and biological engineering, said most of the data about health issues comes from farm-related deaths. In some ways, fatalities can be described as the tip of the iceberg. When this survey, our goal is to be, again, to understand what happens under that tip of the iceberg, Beacott said. It has been years since Penn State conducted an assessment of the health issues, physical and mental, facing farmers. Although the factors influencing physical and mental health don't change very quickly, conducting a survey every few years could help identify any changes in patterns or solutions, Beacott said. The current survey takes about 10 minutes, and questions are focused on farmers' experiences and priorities related to health and safety. It's open to farmers working in any commodity and any size operation. The goal is to have the survey results compiled later this year, depending on how many responses come in. Beacott expects the survey responses will, among other results, reflect the last few years' increasing emphasis on mental health and agriculture. While the stressors have been around for a long time and the research goes back to the 1980s, Beacott said it's hard to tell if mental health is more of an issue today because there isn't a lot of good data. But with the attention being paid to mental health today, she said the stigma surrounding the subject is decreasing. Mental health challenges in agriculture are a bit like the canary in the mine, Beacott said. What rates of stress, anxiety, depression, or even suicide go up, it tends to be an indication of broader challenges, many of which require broader questioning about how we go about things. The biggest challenge with mental health, however, may be finding a solution that works for everyone. That's one area that Beacott hopes becomes clearer with the survey. Some farmers she has spoken to say that family and friends are important to help them cope with mental health challenges, while others say addressing issues such as high input costs and low prices is the solution. Perhaps the most important piece to think about is that there is rarely a one-size-fits-all solution. What works best is when we can offer different types of solutions based on needs, preferences, and availabilities of resources. Solutions for the physical health and safety challenges of farming are more easily identifiable. A rollover protection system installed on a tractor, for example, is a clear fix to a serious risk, but implementing and adopting safety solutions can be impeded by things like cost and cultural beliefs. In addition to informing work at Penn State Extension, the findings from the survey will help the Pennsylvania Farm Safety and Occupational Health Board. Led by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, the board includes representatives from farm organizations, equipment manufacturers, health and emergency response organizations, high schools and universities, and state government, all working together to improve health and safety in agriculture. Also in the news, why not apply for a $10,000 award? Farm Credit is accepting applications for its Farmers on the Rise program, which awards up to 10 beginning farmers with $10,000 to grow their operations. The program celebrates outstanding beginning farmers who excel in their field. Farm Credit recognizes that beginning farmers are the future of our industry, and we're proud to support individuals who are shaping agriculture, said Tom Truitt, Horizon Farm Credit CEO. Farmers on the Rise award winners are selected based on their efforts in agriculture, financial character, leadership and community involvement, and environmental stewardship. The award program is open to beginning farmers who have at least 3, but no more than 10 years of farming experience. The program is open to anyone operating within the association's 100-county footprint. The deadline to apply is September 2nd at 4 p.m. For more information, you can check out horizonfc.com/rise. Also in the news, The Sunday hunting bill signed into law. A bill lifting the prohibition of Sunday hunting in Pennsylvania was signed into law by Governor Josh Shapiro July 9th. The Pennsylvania Game Commission will now decide how to implement the new rule. There will be a 60-day window before the law takes effect, and the Game Commission is reviewing options to add additional Sundays to established 2025-26 hunting seasons. The Game Commission Board postponed its meeting, which was scheduled for July 11th to July 28th. The postponement will allow more time for gathering public comment and planning for Sunday hunting. Sunday hunting had long been in the place for foxes, coyotes, and crows, and in 2019 legislation was passed to allow 3 more Sunday hunting days. The recent legislation to remove any limits passed the House by 142 to 61 vote, following passage in the state Senate on June 26th, with 36 to 16 vote. The bill will revamp trespassing penalties and requires written landowner permission to hunt on Sundays on private land. The latest version of the bill also removes a requirement that deer urine used for hunting best tested for chronic waste disease. Game Commission spokesman Travis Lau said staff and commissioners will work together to determine where Sundays can be added within already established seasons. Also, migratory bird seasons such as waterfowl and dove are established by federal guidelines and could be shortened if additional Sundays are added. Lau said the agency is taking that into consideration. It's our intention to implement Sunday hunting later this year, but we haven't identified the method on how we will do it yet, adding the postponement of the meeting affords extra time to work on it. Another bill addressing crop damage was signed into law by Shapiro on June 30th. It includes several provisions related to agriculture. The bill requires that one person on the 9-member Game Commission Board represent the interests of agriculture. It also establishes a self-reporting system for farmers who shoot deer for crop damage. The bill allows those hunters to take the carcasses directly to a processor as opposed to waiting for the Game Commission to pick them up. The change would reduce waste and boost donations to programs such as Hunters Sharing the Harvest, which donates venison to food pantries across the state. And in 2024, the program realized a record 261,672 pounds of venison donated by hunters. Our farmers are facing immense challenges from wildlife crop damage, and this legislation offers real tangible relief. This legislation is a testament to how hunters and farmers can collaborate to find effective solutions that benefit everyone. Okay, also, as usual, let's talk a little bit about our farmers markets here.
Hey, sir.
Here, we'll get this right.
I filed a claim.
I always have this problem. Technology is a hateful thing. Go ahead there.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it! Look! I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it! Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams.
Oh, thank heavens. Okay. There's a reason why I'm a farmer. I'm just not into tech. I can't get it to work. Anyway, Uniontown Farmers Market every Saturday, Bailey Park 9 to 12, Bedford, PA every Saturday, Lambertville Methodist Church from now till October 9 to 1 p.m. Frostburg, Maryland has their Frostburg City Place. They're going on now till October 9:30 to 1 o'clock. Connellsville Farmers Market, that's Thursdays, East Side Fire Station, 5 to 8 p.m., 100 North Arch Street. Confluence Farmers Market, their next one will be July 26th from 8 to 12 p.m. The Mountain Fresh Farmers Market, Oakland, Maryland, they run now until October 31st, Wednesdays and Saturdays, South First Street, Town Park Lane, 10 to 1 p.m. SoCo, the Somerset County Farmers Market, 243 West Main Street, Saturdays, now till October 11th, and they are running from 9 to 1 p.m. Keystone State Park Farmers Market every Sunday, October 28th, I'm sorry, September 28th will be the next one, 10 to 2 p.m., 1150 Keystone State Park Road, Derry, Pennsylvania. Lost my place. Beach parking lot. Ligonier Country Market every Saturday, now through September 27th. 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. plus other random days. Check their website. They're the corner of Springer Road and Main Street. Deep Creek Farmers Market, Garrett College parking lot, every Friday 3 to 6 p.m. until October 4th. Davis, West Virginia, the Davis Farmers Market, every Friday 5 to 8 p.m. now through September. Barber County Fairgrounds, Barber County, West Virginia, their farmers markets every Friday 4 to 7 p.m. now till October. Cheat Lake Farmers Market every Monday from June to mid-October, 4 to 7 p.m. in the parking lot of Chestnut Ridge Church, 2223 Cheat Road, Waynesburg, PA, every Wednesday, 10 to 1 till October, next to the courthouse. Lower Borough Farmers Market, Bon Air School parking lot, 9 to 12:30 every Saturday to October 4th. The Mountain Area Farmers Market, Farmington Fire Hall, 4 to 8 p.m. Their next one will be August 8th. No, I'm sorry, July 25th. They have one, July 25th. And followed by that, they'll have one August 8th. And that's from 4 to 8 p.m. Rockwood, the new Centerville Farmers Market, located in the Holy Hayloft. There are Thursdays from 3 to 6 p.m. Morgantown, West Virginia, they have two that go on. One is downtown every Saturday, 8:30 to 12 in the large pavilion. Their other one is in Milan Park, 270 Milan Park Lane, Wednesdays starting 4 to 7 p.m. Cumberland, Maryland has theirs in the Canal Place on Thursdays from 9:30 to 1 p.m. Also a reminder, our Uniontown Poultry Association usually has their buy, sell, and trade throughout the summer months. Unfortunately, because of the fair coming up, they will be closed for July. Their next one will be August 17th at about 7 a.m. Also, the Indian Head Swap will be, their next one will be July 27th. And again, that's 7 a.m. to about 11. But you always want to make sure that you get there kind of early, okay? So, Delmont Busy Beaver Swap, they usually have theirs on Sunday, 401 Vine Street, Route 22, next to the Walmart. They run from 8 to 11. Again, you want to get there early for best selection. Their next one will be July 20th. Also, as a reminder, I definitely want to mention this, that the senior farmers market schedule for vouchers for Fayette, Greene, and Washington counties. Southwest PA Area on Aging is not accepting applications by mail. You must attend in person to get the vouchers. So you can contact the Department of Aging at 724-430-4603 for more information. Please, seniors, take advantage of this program before it's gone. Every time we turn around, they're sort of limiting it and taking more away from it. So let's do our best to really take advantage of it. It's a wonderful program that benefits everyone. In Fayette County, they're going to be at Brownsville Senior Center Thursday, July 17th from 9 to 1 p.m. Bullskin Township Satellite Center, that'll be Monday, July 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Connellsville Senior Center, Monday, July 14th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday, July 15th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Wednesday, July 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Fairchance Center in the Bank, Friday, July 18th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Masontown Senior Center, Wednesday, July 2nd, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Citizens Action Group, they'll be there Tuesday, July 22nd to hand them out, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Point Marion American Legion, Tuesday, July 8th. That one's already passed, 11 a.m. To 12 p.m. The Republic Senior Center, theirs already passed. It was July 14th. And again, Greene County, they'll have one at Bobtown Satellite Center. That'll be July 25th, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. They will be also at the Franklin Waynesburg Food Pantry, July 24th, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. The Mount let's see, Wayne, I think a lot of these are already passed. West Green Satellite Center, Thursday, that one's already passed as well. Tomorrow, that's the one I was looking for. Mon Valley Area Brownfield Community Center, Wednesday, July 16th, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Also, Center on the Hill, they're there today until they're just now leaving, actually, 11:30. And Wednesday, July 16th, 9:30 to 11:30. Thursday, July 17th, 9:30 to 11:30. They'll be at Denora Senior Center, July 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. They'll be at the Monongahela Senior Center tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also, some of them were today and have already gone, but the last one will be at Beth Center Senior Center, Thursday, July 17th. It'll be from 9 to 11. So, by all means, if you have the opportunity and you have the time, please go and get those. Okay, let's do something a little different, something we haven't done in a while here, if I can get any of this technology to cooperate with me. Let's see. Okay, let's try it now, TJ. Okay, in our recycling segment today, I wanted to make sure we did it because I haven't done a recycling segment in a while, and I had a couple things that I just couldn't wait to talk to you about. I was reminded today, and I want to make a big shout out to Rob's Auto Sales and Service out on Route 40 because they're fixing my car today, and they're about two miles away from my farm, so I'm able to drive there and then sort of walk back and leave the car there without having to trouble any of my friends to give me a ride out there. And so what reminded me of this today was it was extremely buggy on the walk back. I mean, this was 7 a.m. when I was doing this, and just hiking back, I mean, I was just bombarded with mosquitoes and flies and things, and I was just doing this the entire time, walking on the road. People must have thought I was absolutely nuts. But one thing that I love to do on the farm, and why I don't have this problem necessarily so bad on the farm, is I have a lot of containers that I use to collect as many bugs, flies as I can possibly do it. And the way that we do it on the farm, and the easiest way for folks at home to do this is because you probably have one of these 2-liter pop bottles at home, soda bottles that you've emptied out. The kids have been drinking it all summer, right? They've been outside having picnics and stuff. So you got 2-liter bottles at home. And the best recipe that I use to catch flies with this happy little thing that we get to recycle, and I'm always so excited about recycling anything plastic because I hate using plastic, but be able to recycle this. The recipe is basically 1 cup sugar, 1 cup vinegar, and a banana peel. And I know my pigs aren't going to be happy about me talking about that because they usually get all of my banana peels. But you put those 3 things together, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup vinegar, 1 banana peel, fill it up about halfway with water, shake it up really good, tie it up here at the top, leave the top open, hang it from your trees, hang it from areas that not so close that you get to smell it all the time, but it's not too bad, surprisingly, and leave them around. You will be amazed how many flies you catch and collect and kill. Wonderful idea and something that I do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a 2-liter bottle, but this is one of the things that everybody seems to kind of have around and they don't know what to do with or how to recycle it. So that was a good idea. Also, on the recycling, I just have to do this one. This one cracked me up. This was from my friend Derek in Masontown. He sent me this. He saw it on the internet. He doesn't do it himself, but he thought I could try it. If you are a farmer, if you do anything outside in this horrendously muggy weather that we've been having this year, you probably have a pair of rubber. Like some people call them muck boots. In Great Britain, they call them wellies. But you have rubber boots, and if you're anything like me, you go through probably 5 or 6 pair of rubber boots throughout your year, and you have to come up with things to do with them. So on one of the shows before, I talked about cutting them apart and using them, using the rubber part of it, the top of the rubber part, as something to do with keeping water out of anything. If you have anything that you could just cut this off and hang it over, it's a wonderful way to keep water out of things. So I have a lot of locks on doors, on barns and sheds and things, and I'll cut part of it off and I'll, nail it or screw it up on there and cover over the lock. And it's made my locks last a lot longer. But what he decided and what he sent me was that somebody thought, and I thought it was a great idea, of turning these into, if you can see that, a poultry feeder by screwing it to the walls, filling it up with your corn or layer, mesh, whatever you're doing, whatever you're feeding. It makes a perfect little grain hopper, and it fills up here. And the fact that it's waterproof, I've used it for the ducks. I think it was a brilliant idea. And I don't have to go through and fill up feed for ducks all the time. And again, if I need to take it off and clean it, it's waterproof. So I can do that. You can scrub it and you can clean it. Wonderful idea. Wonderful way to recycle boots. But again, just one of those things that I just had to share. I thought it was funny. And gosh knows I have so many pairs of boots that I have to come up with things to think of. And so if you have any ideas like that, please let me know. I just think it's wonderful if we can recycle absolutely anything. Believe me, if you have anything, and I always mention this too, if you have any sort of recycling ideas for, say, plastic cups, red Solo cups, as Toby Keith like to call them, things like that are typically one-use items, please send it to me and let me know, because I absolutely love talking about those kinds of things. Also, we've got some happy things that are kind of going on at the farm.
On the flying school, do-do-do. One voice apparition, provided by magician. Do-do-do, looking out my back door.
So, I'm going to turn the... Poor TJ, I'm flashing him with my cue light here. Anyway, I'm just torturing the poor man. Sometimes I'm not sure he's awake, so I just have to wake him up a little bit. The next thing, and I didn't tell him this, but the next thing I'm going to do, get one of my cattle prods, and we're going to do a jolt under the chair. So, might wake him up a little bit if I have to, especially when I'm reading the news. It's, kind of get him going back here. Anyway, I was talking about part of the challenges that we're suffering on the farm because of this nasty rainy weather, and it has absolutely, without a doubt, been a challenge. I can say this, in all honesty, the things growing in the garden have not been that affected too badly. And I'm a person, as I say over and over again, the show's called Farmsteaders Field Notes, and I take a lot of notes and I record. So as I said last time, July is not too late to still be planting, your kinds of beans, zucchini, tomatoes. You can still do lettuce, peppers. If you're late, you can still be doing those things and still planting them and still be okay. To be honest with you, I was concerned that the heavy rain was going to be affecting them, and fortunately, it really hasn't been. And haven't been getting the leafy mold or any of the problems. No burnt petals. No inhibition at all with any of the growth at this point. So, still been very, very lucky. As I said before, it has been of benefit to me. As far as the trees and the apples, the pears, the chestnuts, all this heavy rain has actually been beneficial to them. The biggest impotence that we've been having with all the heavy pouring down, extremely deep rain has been with the livestock. And the issues with the livestock mostly have been Not so much in the pasture development, the pasture growth, which has still been fine, but it's been coordinating that so that our animals aren't doing more damage than they're doing beneficial things to the pasture. If it's extremely wet, then their hooves, they'll tear into it, they'll dig into the ground harder. Instead of leaving sort of a milder impact with heavier regrowth, we're sort of impeding and doing damage to that top layer, and it's kind of slowing down some of the growth back. So we have to be a little bit more careful about pasturing the livestock. Another big issue is parasites. Parasites, in particularly the sheep and the goats, are going to be heavier whenever we have this excess of rain and then this really super high humidity right after, which is what we do. So it's always an important idea. Part of how we take care of this is with the rotational pasturing, and the more we do the rotational pasturing, the better off we are, because we're not constantly hitting the exact same plot of land where they're manuring and stepping, and the eggs from all the fecal matter are going back into the ground, and we're recycling all the parasites again. So if we're able to move them off of that, allow it to grow, give it at least that 90-day break, they're okay with it. But again, because we've been having all this pouring down heavy, obnoxious rain, we haven't been able to do that. And so there has been increased pressure on especially my young animals this year. So we've had to be a little bit more clever with the deworming. And so you have several families of dewormers, and it's important that you know how effective those dewormers are being. And part of the way that you can do that is after you deworm your animals, and of course record keeping is essential here. After you deworm your livestock, you take a sample either to your veterinarian, or you do a fecal examination. You can do it yourself if you have a microscope at home. And the solution that you just put a couple drops of solution onto a slide, and you look at it, and you can see if you can see any fecal eggs. And so you do that about 14 days after you apply a dewormer. And if you find that you still see a burden, a heavy load of parasitic eggs going on, that it's time for you to switch to a different dewormer. It's time for you to switch to a different family. And it's hard for some new people to understand that ivermectin and zimectrin, and no matter what you name it, there are certain dewormers that are the exact same thing or very, very close. So picking one from that family, you need to switch to another family, like a Safeguard or a Panicure. Because they're the same thing, but with a different name. So you got to look at that main ingredient whenever you're purchasing your dewormer. You need to look at that main ingredient and make sure that you're not just doubling up on the same thing that wasn't working before. Okay, so that's an essential. And with some of these, unfortunately with parasites, they're extremely, extremely resilient. And, one tactic may be to use one dewormer over and over and over, use it 2 or 3 times in a row until you start to see that it's not being effective, and then switch to another dewormer. Another tactic has been to go ahead and swap them up, kind of catch them off guard, change it a little bit. So some of those things have been effective. So that's why it's extremely important to look at that parasite burden and make sure that you're keeping that in check, because unfortunately, we have some ways to sort of detect whether there's a heavy parasite load in our livestock. One of them is to check sort of the amount of and they call it the eyelid test, where they pull down the animal's eyelid, and if it looks more white than dark pink, or more towards the reddish end of the spectrum, you're looking at an animal that's got a heavy burden of parasites going on, because they're making it anemic. But the problem with that, and the way that I've always sort of felt about that, system is, number one, it really only detects when they have liver flukes. And the second problem is because there's a lot more different parasites out there than simply liver flukes. There's a lot of different worms that can from tapes to pins to everything that can affect the livestock. But if you're already seeing that they're going that way, they're already getting anemic, then you're sort of trying to play catch up, and it's very hard to bring them back from that. So it's something I kind of glance at, but it's not something that I base a lot on. And I know there's some people out there, especially people with sheep, that constantly keep them on pasture, that's their big thing. They don't want to deworm at all unless it's absolutely necessary. I completely agree, and I completely understand that. But they're always using that eyelid test, and sometimes that's not the best way to tell on that. But you'll sort of see, like, beyond just the obvious features, you'll sort of see them get kind of duller, and and not only just their coat, but just kind of the way that they act, the way that they behave. And then, of course, obviously, they'll start to lose weight because the parasites are ingesting what they should be ingesting. So when we get to that point, when we get to that far, it's really, really a battle to bring them back. So I have a tendency to try to stick to a schedule, and again, I will allow it to slide earlier, or I will allow it to slide later, depending on how the animals are looking. And unfortunately, this year has been a year where I've had to sort of move things earlier. I really have. And I've seen some difficulty, and I was talking before on one of the shows about weaning. And weaning weights are extremely important to all livestock because, you need to wean. In the case of cattle, if you have calves on cattle, you have to be extremely conscious to know exactly when to pull that calf off, because too long, and it's just starting to take away from the mother. The mother just starts to literally become emaciated. She's just putting everything into that milk to feed that calf. And if you pull the calf off too soon, then the calf isn't digesting anything beyond milk, and then you have a big problem there, because it's never going to gain weight, it's never going to get bigger, it's never going to be healthier. The same thing with lambs. With my goats, because I bottle raise them, or the dairy calves, or the cows that I get in that are bottle calves. Again, this year I did less bottle calves to raise up, which is going to hurt me, because I like to raise calves up to about 16 months and then have them butchered. And so any time that I'm slowing down or I'm not keeping up with one, then I'm sort of slowing down the entire cycle here. And then but anyway, because of the beef prices have been astronomical, I haven't been getting into them. But anyway, with calves that are on the bottle or goats that are on the bottle, it's still been hard to transition them this year for me. So, as soon as I try to take back some of that milk and try to get them onto a grain, with the weather being the way that it's been extremely hot. They have no interest in it. They're just like, please just keep feeding me out of this bottle, because I don't want to go to any more. I don't want to go to any more trouble than I have to. So good hay has been essential. Maintaining the amount of dry material that they're consuming with the wet material. If you're getting them out there to graze, you need to sort of match it up with as much dry material, meaning a grain or a good hay, a good quality hay, to keep that rumen working. And all of our ruminant animals, all of our livestock, just need to be doing that. Every single animal on the farm, everything that I do, the transition has to be extremely slow. We can't transition any animal over too quickly. Even in the case of my rabbits, I haven't talked about my rabbits in a while, but unfortunately, because of all this heavy rain, they've been impacted quite in a big way, because if you know me, I don't like that rabbits can live in a cage their entire life. It really annoys me. But I moved to much, much bigger pens with my rabbits, and I allow them to graze. And they do a wonderful job. They eat things that a lot of my other livestock won't eat. But they will suffer from the same ailments, such as bloat, if you put them out there too quickly, or you put them out on this tall growing stuff real fast that's really starchy and grows up, and then you plop them down. I potentially could have rabbits that die. So I've been careful to take them out there only on the sunny days, And to make sure that we get back into the cycle, I only put them out there for, say, an hour, and then I have to move them. And that's a lot different than over the past few years. I haven't had to do that. Even on the extremely dry drought summer of last year, they were extremely beneficial to the grass, and I was able to put them out there all day. And then move them around. And then they did all of my lawn cutting, and they were excellent on some of the weeds that even the goats wouldn't touch. You know, some of the brambles and things that the goats usually like, the taller stuff, the lower stuff, the cockleburs and the nasty things. I mean, they would chew those stalks right down, and they were doing an amazing job. But because it's so heavy in rain, if you can think about a fluffy bunny, you know, once that fur gets wet, okay, it would be one thing if it was like the morning dews and damps. That's not so bad because by the rest of the day, they would be dried out. But when it's this heavy rain and this soil is just soaking this up, and you know, I work hard on my soils, so they are absorbing every bit of this rain. They're doing a really good job of retaining that rain. You put those rabbits on there, they cannot be wet all that time. They absolutely cannot. So it has the potential to create sores on the bottom of their feet. It has the potential of keeping them wet like that. Any sore that they have on them, they're going to attract bugs and maggots and flies and things like that, which will kill them. So they can't be wet. So we can't allow that. So it's been very hard on my bunny grazing program this year. The bunnies have had to be in more than I like. But you know, that's just one more challenge. What has been beneficial about all this heavy rain, and I've talked about it before, has been my water retention system. You know, we're just doing everything that we possibly can to contain water. And I've been able to collect so much water that I haven't had to go to my well to water any of my livestock. And I have way too much in the way of livestock. I have a lot of animals, and I haven't had to go to my well at all. So just being able to collect rainwater has been an absolute godsend in that regard. So, you know, you kind of have to weigh the cons and the pros. And, you know, I would still prefer that we were getting less rain. I would prefer that I wasn't feeding as much hay as I'm having to feed. I would prefer that my animals would be able to get out more. I definitely would prefer that my rabbits get out. And I'll tell you, it's been so rainy that I let my ducks out, and they come out, they do a little circle. They're like, are you kidding me? I don't even want to be out in it. They're going back in. And so, you know, it's pretty heavy rain whenever the ducks don't want to be out in it. So, and they are like my number one collector of slugs and things that get on my garden. So, I desperately want them out there, and I want them doing their job. And, so, again, you know, this heavy parasite burden has been a problem with the rain. Getting the livestock out where they belong, that's been kind of hard this year. So we have to do what we have to do on the farm, and we have to start thinking of solutions outside of the box. So a couple solutions that we've come up with has been some portable shelters, moving the shelters along so that I don't necessarily have to be with them all the time. You know, because nothing would be more annoying than going to have to go, oh, well, it's starting to rain. I got to run out and collect them again, get all the critters back in. But coming up with new ideas for portable shelters and recycling things to make out of those shelters. I mean, I'm coming up with some pretty clever things to recycle, to make shelters out of. So we're doing that kind of a thing to sort of counter it. I got to say, the pigs on the farm, the pigs have never been happier. And if you know anything about pigs, when people talk about how clean pigs are and how much they smell one side or the other, they say, oh, my pigs are clean. Oh, my pigs smell. But they have a terrible stigma that they smell. And mine really don't, because we tend to move them along. And with all of this rain, of course, there's some mud, but they'll just stand out in the rain and it'll just pour over top of them. They don't even care. This is wonderful. You know, it's an 80-some degree day and it's pouring down rain. They'll stand right out in it. They don't even care. So it's, in a way, it's kind of kept them cleaner. And but we've had to be, again, more conscious of how long they stay on a certain plot, because they're really doing some damage. So we've had we've had to make some plots on the farm that we just call sort of giveaways, like places where we just know we're going to be muddy. We just know they're going to be muddy this year. We can't help it. And so we'll, you know, if we know it's going to be too bad and we don't want them to do too much damage, we'll go ahead and move them onto that plot and say, you know what, dig it up and destroy it as much as you want to, because there's nothing else we can do about it. So, the question is, how much damage do I want to do to that top layer? And so I'm always doing my best to try to be conscientious for all this work that I put in to trying to maintain that top 6 inches that's so essential to life. I don't want them to over impact it. I don't want them to destroy it. So again, moving various, and that's a good point too, is that when you move multiple species through those areas as we rotate these animals around, it breaks up those parasite cycles that we're talking about, the parasites, because goats aren't going to get the parasites that the pigs are getting, and the pigs aren't going to get the parasites that the cows have, and so on and so forth. And so we can break all of that up if we just rotate them through. Again, folks, I'm sort of sorry that I don't have more chickens right now, but the truth of the matter is all this avian influenza issues and whatnot, I know eggs are still high out there, but they're coming down. And don't thank your politicians for the price of poultry eggs coming down, because it's not them. It's the avian influenza is now working its way through, and we're doing our best to stop the outbreaks of it. And we're making a lot of improvements on that. So obviously egg production is coming back. And TJ is giving me the get the heck off of here signal. So it's like a bat signal that goes up in the air like, get off, stop talking. And so again, we'll be back here next week, this week, but the following week we will be back at the Fayette County Fair talking. So as always, we have a lot of fun here on Farmsteaders Field Notes, but there's nothing funny really about my art. I take it very, very seriously. I did my first nude painting yesterday, and the neighbors weren't happy, but my mailbox looks great. Remember, folks, have fun this week. Enjoy yourselves. Life is very, very short. Don't take it too seriously. And as always, stay tuned for CBS News at this hour coming up next.
You're listening to WMBS Uniontown. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.